On August 22nd, 2026, off Boca Raton, Florida, a 23-year-old pilot was flying a Piper PA-39 from Fort Myers to the Bahamas when the right engine quit. She was also having trouble with the landing gear, and with plenty of fuel still on board, she didn't want to risk a fire during an emergency landing. So she went for the water and put the airplane down just off the beach. She got out on her own, swam toward shore, and was helped by a lifeguard. She wasn't hurt. What caused the engine failure and the landing gear problem has not been confirmed yet.
That was wild.
On September 16th, 2024, at Minden Tahoe Airport in Nevada, a Globe Swift and a Cessna 206 collided in the traffic pattern. The Cessna had just made a touch and go and was climbing back into the pattern, while the Swift was coming in to join the downwind. Neither crew saw the other airplane in time, and the Cessna climbed into the Swift from below. The Swift went down in a field, killing its pilot. The Cessna made it back to the airport, and both pilots on board were unhurt. The NTSB found that both pilots failed to see and avoid the other airplane, leading to the midair collision. On October 5th, 2022, at Excalibur City Airfield in Hatie, Czechia, a student pilot and an instructor were taking off in an Aerocopter AC-20S. During the takeoff roll, the student didn't realize he was braking the right wheel, and the gyroplane started pulling to the right. Just after it lifted off, about 1 meter above the ground, it suddenly swung right, lost height, and crashed through the doors of a hangar. Both men got out on their own with minor injuries. Investigators found that the student's unintended use of the right wheel brake during the takeoff roll led to the loss of control. On August 14th, 2026, at an airfield that has not been publicly identified, a Titan T-51 Mustang started its takeoff roll and quickly began veering off course. The pilot kept going, and the airplane left the runway area, narrowly missing 2 people before hitting a parked car. One wing was badly damaged in the impact, but the pilot was able to get out without serious injury. And then came the unusual part. Despite all that damage, the pilot later taxied the airplane away.
He couldn't handle it.
What caused the loss of directional control has not been officially determined.
Well, I'm glad we got out of the way, D. I think he hit your car.
On October 10th, 2022, at Aldinga Airfield in South Australia, the pilot of a Beechcraft E-55 Baron found that the landing gear wouldn't come down. He stayed in the air for a while, trying to deal with the problem, but the gear still wouldn't extend. In the end, he brought the Baron in with the wheels up, sliding along the runway on its belly. The pilot walked away unhurt. The landing gear malfunction is confirmed, but the exact mechanical cause was never publicly established. On July 4th, 2009, near Prestwich, England, a pilot was taking off from a private field in an MTO Sport gyroplane. The takeoff roll went much longer than he expected, and once airborne, he could see he wasn't going to clear the trees ahead. He turned left to miss them, but the gyroplane started losing height. With power lines limiting the other side, he abandoned the takeoff and tried to turn back. The gyroplane came down hard and rolled onto its side. Both people got out unhurt. The pilot later reported that the wind had changed, leaving him taking off downwind. On July 11th, 2014, just after taking off from El Beriel airfield on Gran Canaria, Spain, an ELA-07 gyroplane suddenly lost engine power at about 150 feet. The pilot tried to get the power back, but nothing changed. With very little altitude left, he turned away from the runway and put the gyroplane down in rough ground about 300 meters from the airfield. The nose gear and lower body were badly damaged, but both people on board walked away unhurt. Investigators found the cause in the left carburetor. A small fuel residue had partially blocked one of the jets, cutting the engine's power. The exact date of this accident is unknown, but the video was posted on August 24th, 2014. It happened somewhere in Turkey, during a takeoff attempt in a small experimental gyroplane. The gyroplane lifted off too early several times, touched back down, and then got airborne again. This time, the pilot lost control. The aircraft ran toward the edge of the paved area, hit an obstacle, and rolled over. The pilot wasn't hurt, and the gyroplane was later repaired. There is no official investigation available, so the exact cause has never been confirmed. I've seen a lot of strange things in aviation, but this one is something else. Watch closely. Someone turned what looks like a car into a homemade gyroplane, and to get it moving, they hooked it to another vehicle and started towing it down the road. Yeah, this was apparently the Takeoff plan. What happens next pretty much speaks for itself.
Where are we going again, Brad? Are you okay?
On September 11th, 2017, at RAF Scampton in England, a Rotor Sport Calidus was accelerating for takeoff when something went wrong. The rotor had been pre-spun to about 200 RPM, but during the takeoff roll, the pilot didn't tilt the rotor back, so the gyroplane picked up speed while the rotor didn't. When the pilot finally pulled the stick back, the nose came up hard. There wasn't enough rotor speed to support the aircraft. It rolled left, and a rotor blade hit the runway. The gyroplane went onto its side and slid about 50 meters. Both people on board were unhurt. The AAIB found that inappropriate control movement during the takeoff caused the accident. The exact date is unknown, but this video was already online by August 21st, 2022. The location hasn't been confirmed either. A Japan Airlines Boeing 737 was coming in through strong, gusty crosswinds, and right before touchdown, the airplane was moving noticeably from side to side. The crew stayed with it, corrected the movement, and got the airplane safely onto the runway. There are no confirmed reports of injuries or damage, and this was not officially classified as an aviation accident. On August 20th, 2016, at LaGuardia Airport in New York, a United Airlines Boeing 737 was making a circling approach to runway 13. The crew got very low before deciding to go around, and as they started climbing away, the winglet touched the runway. Pieces were later found on the pavement. The crew climbed to about 3,000 feet, came back around, and landed safely on the next approach. No one was hurt. The FAA classified it as an incident, but no official cause for the winglet strike has been published. On March 23, 2023, near Dhanbad Airport in Jharkhand, India, a Pipistrel Sinus 912 took off with a pilot and one passenger on board. Just after takeoff, a low fuel pressure warning came up, and seconds later, the engine quit. The pilot tried to restart it, but it wouldn't come back. With almost no altitude left, the aircraft came down about a kilometer from the airport and crashed into a house, while the passenger was seriously hurt. Investigators found that both fuel valves had been left closed before takeoff. The required pre-flight checks had been skipped, causing fuel starvation and shutting down the engine. On October 26, 2022, near Asunción, Paraguay, a LATAM Airbus A320 was heading back to Asunción after waiting out bad weather in Brazil. On the way in, the crew flew into a severe hailstorm. The nose of the airplane was badly damaged, the windshields were hit, and both engines flamed out. The crew managed to restart one engine, but the other one stayed out. They continued toward Asunción on a single engine and landed safely. All 48 people on board were okay. Later analysis found that the storm was far more severe than the engines were designed to handle, with extreme amounts of hail and water causing the damage and the dual engine flameout.
¡Qué locura! Por favor, Dios santo, qué bárbaro. Uf.
On February 4th, 2023, at Phuket International Airport in Thailand, an Azur Air Boeing 767 was accelerating for takeoff to Moscow when the right engine suddenly surged. There was a loud bang, followed by flames and smoke from the engine, and the crew immediately rejected the takeoff. The airplane was already moving fast, so the pilots had to brake hard to get it stopped. Several tires were damaged during the stop, but everyone on board got out safely. No one was hurt. The engine surge is confirmed, but the exact technical cause has not been officially established.
Это нас выводят из этого самолета. Пожарные.
On November 3rd, 2022, At Benešov Airport in Czechia, a gas balloon was coming into land when it suddenly drifted toward a row of parked airplanes. The pilot tried to slow the descent, but the basket clipped the tail of a parked Piper. It bounced away, and the balloon came down in the grass right beside it. No one was hurt. Investigators found that the balloon's flight path changed suddenly during the landing after the airflow shifted behind an obstacle. On November 17th, 2022, in Jesus Maria, Aguascalientes, Mexico, an AS-350B3 was flying a police patrol with 5 people on board. At low altitude, the helicopter entered a fast right turn, and the pilot lost control. It dropped steeply into an open field and caught fire after impact. All 5 people on board were killed. Investigators found that the high-speed turn caused servo transparency, making the controls extremely difficult to move. Pilot fatigue was also listed as a contributing factor.
Pues al parecer sí lo tiraron porque pues buscó caer en un lugar.
On November 22nd, 2022, at Van Nuys Airport in California, a Cessna Citation S-550 returned after the pilot found that the nose gear wouldn't come down properly. He stayed in the air for a while, trying to get the gear down and burn off some fuel. Nothing worked, so he came back in with the nose gear only partly extended. The Citation touched down, the nose eventually dropped onto the runway, sending up sparks as the airplane slid to a stop. Both people on board walked away unhurt. The landing gear failure is confirmed, but the exact mechanical cause has not been publicly established. On November 24th, 2022, somewhere off the coast of Mexico, a Mexican Air Force Black Hawk was flying a low-level training mission over the sea. The helicopter got a little too low, and the tips of all 4 main rotor blades struck the water. The crew recovered and kept the helicopter under control, but all 4 blades were damaged at the tips. The contact with the water is confirmed, but no official cause has been published. On November 25th, 2022, at General Rodriguez Airfield in Argentina, a student pilot was out on his first solo in his Cessna 152. The landing didn't go well. He touched down, bounced, came down again, and the bouncing just kept getting worse. After several hits, the nose gear gave way, and the airplane went over onto its back. The student got out with only a minor injury. The Cessna was badly damaged, and a final cause has not been published.